And today, there was no Tiki. Couldn't find him. Couldn't see him anywhere. Now, to Tiki's credit, he does text us and say, hey, guys, I'm busy. I'll be there, don't worry, but I'm hanging out with my brother and Jason Light, the Bucs general manager.
That's right. We were over at Liberty National. My buddy Mike Logan playing 18 holes. My brother is a little bit crazy, as you may or may not know.
Are you a little drunk right now? Be honest with me.
I had a drink, but I'm not drunk. But
I can feel it.
They're a little
Let's
bit
go.
crazy. And they wouldn't let me leave.
What do you mean they wouldn't let you leave?
They said, we got to finish 18. You have to finish 18. 18 is the most beautiful hole. The tee shot at 18, I'll show you the picture, is amazing. You can't leave until you play 18. So I teed off, got up to the green, barely putted, got in my car, and ran over here. And it was 1:45.
Wow.
At Liberty National.
Are you kidding me?
1:45.
And you somehow got here before first pitch?
So thank you, Mike Logan, for making me late. Mark, the caddy, he was awesome. And my brother and Jason Light, we had a good time.
Do you have, like, at least some kind of gossipy, juicy thing from the Bucs GM and your Hall of Fame brother?
Maybe, but I got to think about it.
You got to think about it.
We talked about a lot. I'll tell you in the break. In the first break, I'll tell you.
And then I'm going to then repeat it on the air.
No.
Oh, no, I don't get to do that.
I'm going to tell you in the first break.
Right.
And then you're going to tell me whether or not I should say it.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'm going to give you control.
Okay.
But I'm pausing for a second.
I like that.
Because I got to think about whether I should say it.
Well, but it's because you're tipsy and you're realizing.
No. It's not even that. I'm not tipsy. I'm just telling you. I just don't know if I should say it.
I love this loosey-goosey Tiki today. I love this.
No,
He's got the Yankee hat pulled low.
I'm actually Rondé right now.
Did you guys ever do that as kids, by the way? Do the twin magic? Brie and Nikki Bella did that once at SummerSlam. It was crazy.
A little bit, but we don't talk about it.
Oh, really? Well, good to see you. Hi, everybody. We got a very busy show today. There's a lot to get to. We now have proof that Jet fans are nervous about the offensive line. Undeniable proof. The Giants are playing a football game tonight, and there is a major Aaron Judge controversy going on that we'll address as the show rolls on. But today is the kind of day where for the last, I'd say, I'm 40 now, for the last 17 years of my life, 2 Fridays before Labor Day was always a big deal because it's when I realized I got to start preparing for my fantasy draft. I swear to God.
I've given up on mine.
Oh, you played fantasy?
I played. There was a time where I had at least 3 teams.
Interesting. When did that start? Like right after you retired?
No, because I hated it. I hated fantasy when I was playing because it didn't make any sense to me.
Well, obviously. When you're playing, it doesn't make sense.
I cared about winning. I didn't care about whether or not I scored the touchdown or not. But it was probably 5 years after.
Really?
And everybody thought I'd be great.
Yeah.
But the problem is I overthink it.
Right.
So I'm analyzing when I should just be emotionalizing.
I think we all do that sometimes where we overthink things. And we all have our own rules on how we build a team. Like, I'm a Jet fan first. I know Sean's a Giant fan first. So it doesn't mean I would never draft a Patriot or Bill, but I try not to.
Yeah.
And I break ties by drafting guys that either are not on my team's schedule, the Jets schedule, or just Jets. And naturally, you're going to be more biased towards your guys. So this is something I've done, and I'd say, based on the stats out there, 80% of our audience have done for years and years and years. We play fantasy. A big part of why you made a lot of money in the NFL is because of fantasy.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
A big reason for the popularity of this sport is fantasy, and it's been going on for a very long time. It was always a big deal when it was rotisserie, and there was always that one guy that filled out the numbers for you. I was lucky enough to miss that because when I started playing, it was on the internet. Like, everything was computerized, and it was fantastic. And so for me, for the last, I'd say it's 20-plus years now, I've gone to Yahoo, I've had my draft, I build my team. Sometimes I suck. Sometimes I've had good years. In fact, one year, I had the perfect season, believe it or not. Not the perfect.
Wait, perfect season meaning what?
I lost every game.
Oh,
lost every game.
I thought that was a positive.
Yeah. No, the opposite of it.
Yeah.
Because I decided to draft Peyton Manning the year he was coming back, or I thought he was coming back, and he never played. So I took a risk that backfired.
So who was your backup?
I ended up trading for Eli Manning about 6 weeks in.
What year was that, though? Was that like his first year?
No,
it was bad?
It was 11. Whatever year he missed.
Oh, I
forget.
got it.
So this is a part of kind of my sports religion. And I think a lot of our sports religion. And so today is the day in which I realize, okay, I only have a few more weeks till the draft. Let me kind of study a little bit. Let me remember what the hell's going on. But I come to you with very sad news. as excited as I am for my draft, and I still think there are a lot of people excited for their draft, fantasy football's dying. It's dying. It's 2023, and I've heard it from numerous people. I've heard it from more people than I could ever imagine. It's dying a slow death. And do you know why it's dying, Tiki?
Because of the online wagering sites.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Because people out there now have the instant gratification of every single week. I can just bet, not just on who's going to win, not just a point spread, not just an over-under, because that to me hasn't killed fantasy. No. It's not that. It's the player props.
Yeah, of course.
The player props have killed it.
I don't have to worry about who's winning the game.
No.
I just have to worry about what if this guy's going to rush for 110 yards or catch 2 touchdowns.
And I don't have to worry about drafting a team and a guy getting hurt because every single Sunday I pick someone new I'm going to bet on, and I bet on them. Same thing with daily fantasy. Daily fantasy and gambling, the legalization of gambling, which is still relatively new in New York, a little bit older in New Jersey. And I think this is the year where we're going to really see the decline. It is killing
Fantasy.
fantasy.
Yeah.
It's killing it.
Yeah. Are you doing a fantasy team this year?
You're damn effing right
So
I am.
this is the first year that I'm not. It's interesting you say it, and it's not because of what you're talking about. It's not because I'm wagering on Superbook or FanDuel or any of these guys.
So you've been playing for how many years?
At least 10.
Okay.
Maybe 11.
I got to tell you.
And I haven't won yet. And I should be the one that wins. The problem is I overthink. I look at it like an analyst. I'll go watch a tape and say, oh, okay, this guy against this team will do X, Y, Z, and it's overthinking
Yeah,
it.
but wait a second. Are you stopping? And I find this fascinating. I would never have guessed that you've played fantasy for 10 years in a row. Are you stopping because you're a sore loser?
No, I'm stopping because I'm now I know that I'm really going to overanalyze it because this is the first year that I'm doing 17 weeks for CBS.
So you think broadcasting is going to cause you to
It's
do
going
that?
to cause me to know everything, but actually not be good at fantasy.
Have too much information. That
Too much
causes
information crushes you in fantasy because it's such an emotional
that.
thing.
Yeah, but forget about the winning or using too much information. Did you have fun? Like, did you like it for the last 10 years?
Of course I did, but I never won, and it was frustrating because I should be winning. You know, it's. I know every player. I know their strengths. I know their weaknesses. Sometimes, and early on, I played against some of these guys, so
but wait a
I
second,
really
wait a
knew
second.
them.
You can phrase it however you want. You're a sore loser. I mean, you're just giving your reasons why you're a sore loser. That's your reason for not playing.
It's funny. I didn't think of it that way, but you might be right.
So you're not this person, but I know it. I feel it. Like Morash, do you play fantasy?
Yeah, used to play it a lot more. I've dwindled down to one league, and my heart isn't even into it
Why?
because of the daily gambling.
Yeah.
And Evan, you bring
Well,
up.
he's a degenerate.
I am a degenerate.
He's a
to
degenerate.
be fair, I
like
am.
he really wants to make money.
I
Like
do.
immediately, not like at the end of the season.
No.
He wants to make money every week.
I do, but there's a lot of things that go with it. Number one, it's become harder and harder as we've gotten older. Organize people together for a draft. Then they always want it to be Labor Day weekend. I'm trying to enjoy it. And then as the season goes on, if somebody gets hurt, it sucks you out of it. But the week to week, forget just one player bet. The idea that I could take 4 anytime touchdown scores and parlay them together for however much money wins like 10 times your money, or 3 guys to rush over 80 yards combined with a touch. Like the parlays you have are as good as playing fantasy.
But you're missing, to me, one of the best parts about fantasy, the thing I'm still going to have, the thing that anyone who continues to play still has, that you can't get by being in your own basement or in your own bar looking at your own little parlay sheet. And that's the camaraderie and the trash talk of being in a league. Like, one thing about fantasy football, I've always felt this way. While I want to win, because sure, I want to win the money, of course, like who doesn't want money? It's free money. That's not the number one reason. It's about kicking everybody's ass.
Yeah.
It's about reminding T-Roy, and I know you're listening, that I just kicked your ass. You may have talked a lot of trash at the draft, but guess what happened week 5? You know what I mean? Like, and when you gamble, I'm not telling you not to gamble, by the way. Gamble as much as you want, I guess, as long as you're safe. You don't get that same satisfaction.
Because you're gambling against random people who you don't know.
Yeah, it's not that head-to-head.
But and look, I'm the king of trash talk. Don't get me wrong. We went through it yesterday with the Giant Jet thing, but I don't know what your circle is. I got a Cowboy fan in my circle, an Eagle fan, Jet fans. Like, we do enough of the trash talk with the actual games that I don't need the added trash talk of the fantasy.
No, hold on. Let me make something clear. The NFL is enough. I understand that. Like, being a Jet fan, you being a Giant fan is obviously enough. But fantasy football has been in our lives forever. I'm sure you started playing the same age I started playing.
Junior high, I think.
Okay, we've all done it basically our entire lives. It's something we've always done. It doesn't mean that's the reason we like football. Now, maybe there are some people out there where that's what got them into football. I don't need it to love football, but that added trash talk and bonus of it has been a part of my NFL life for 20-plus years.
It's interesting because from a player's standpoint, there are fans that will say something to me. Say I'm in, Ohio, because where I was for the Hall of Fame. They know me because of fantasy football. Not because they were Giants fans, but because they picked me up on their fantasy team. And I remember thinking about this at the end of my career when fantasy was really starting to get big, that this was as much as I hated it, it was a great thing because there was somebody in South Dakota who knew who I was and cared about me because I was on their fantasy team.
Yeah.
And it started to make me think about how much it grows the game.
It does.
Right? It grows the brand of the individual. Like basketball players, baseball players, maybe not hockey players, but certainly basketball and baseball players, they're individual brands in a team. Football players are really hard to differentiate unless you know who they are. Right? It's just, you don't see their faces. You don't really know their stories. You don't get their emotions. You don't see anything other than their numbers on the back of their jerseys and whether or not they win or lose. But when you start playing fantasy, you actually dial into a guy who might not be in your local market.
Oh, no doubt.
And it makes you popular outside of your local market. That was the one thing that turned me on fantasy because I hated it for a long time. But then it turned me when I realized, dude, I'm making some fans because I'm good.
Because you probably only heard, hey, can you get me a touchdown this week? Hey, can you rush for 150 yards? When the truth is, it has added to the popularity of the sport. There are a lot of people. It's not me. It's not Sean. But fantasy football has gotten people into football.
No doubt.
I don't think there's any question about that. And part of why Sundays are a holiday, every Sunday is a holiday. It's one of the first things my wife ever learned about me. Now, she learned I love to score games. She learned something else and was very impressed. But the other thing was Sundays are a holiday.
Yeah.
Sundays, we watch the Jets. Sundays, we watch the Giants. Sundays, I got 18 screens up. But Sundays, I'm watching how my fantasy team is doing. Like, it's all encompassing. It's not one thing or the other. It's everything. It's a part of why football Sundays are an event. It's a part of why we're counting down how many Sundays we have left until we get to week 1 on September 10th. And fantasy's always been there for my entire life. And I think for anybody, I'd say 40 and under, we probably don't know football without fantasy at least being a part of the ride. At least being there with us.
And you think it's fully going away?
I think it's dying a slow death. And I think that turn starts right now because I don't know if there's enough people left like me who still love that camaraderie, it's a pain in the ass to organize that draft, but that draft is a night with the boys where you're talking trash about the team you're drafting. Like, obviously, a lot of things become a pain in the ass as you get older.
Yeah.
But it's still special as opposed to, here, let me go on my phone. I'm going to make 5 bets that no one else gives a rat's ass about. You can take a picture of it and tweet it out, but there's no trash talk to somebody else. There's no celebration with somebody else. It's so individualized as compared to fantasy where that league is a family. And that family's dying.
Yeah, but there's group bets now where you go in together.
No, stop.
We're all on the Daniel Jones over 17 and a half touchdowns.
You really are bad.
No, but
this is really degenerate.
But this is what happens now. And honestly, on the fantasy dying point, if you're outside of an NFL market, Alabama, South Dakota, I think that's still where it thrives because that's how you watch your football on Sundays. But if you have your team you're paying attention to in your way game, it's just stupid. You don't need that extended trash talk. And you don't need the Saturday night on Labor Day weekend to go, hey, let's go.
Well, I think
let's
also
our team. Let's order pizza, bro.
The pandemic year and the year, maybe 2 after it, those get-together drafts stopped happening.
No, and that was a big thing. You're right.
It was all virtual.
Well, what's happened since then, and I've seen this in my leagues that I've been in, is you have the pandemic draft in 2020. You have the pandemic draft in 2021. In 2022, it was impossible to get everybody back, so it became a hybrid. Mm-hmm. It became anyone who wants to hang out, here's the draft. Anyone who wants to be at home looking through a screen, here's your login for Zoom.
And paying attention to something completely different than the draft that you're going through.
And I agree, that sucks.
It does, because you're not paying attention.
No,
you're just silent.
It's
like, it's my turn.
I'm with it. This year in baseball, because I do baseball too, was the year where we were going to get back to a full in-person draft. And that week, my entire family, not named me, got COVID. So Even in 2023, where I thought, okay, we're all together, this is going to be great. I was hosting it. That was the other problem.
At your house. You're
yeah.
hosting it at your house. And
everybody got COVID.
That's
So
fine.
I said to everybody, listen, you still want to come over? Fine. They're okay. I'll lock them in a different room. But I just want to warn you, they all had COVID. Not one freaking person said yes to me.
of course not.
They were all like, sorry, not doing it.
And the problem with the non-in-person is you end up auto-drafting. You're like, all right, I got to go to the bathroom. Oh, wait, I got to go get a drink. Oh, wait, my wife is calling me or my kid needs something. Whatever the distraction is. And you end up auto-drafting.
And you know what?
It's so easy.
It's easy, but it's stupid.
I know, but it's so easy.
You know what auto drafting is like? And watch, I'm probably going to have to do this in a few years with FanDuel. When you go on a FanDuel and they suggest a parlay, that's auto drafting. It's the same freaking thing.
That's a good point.
Put your own parlay together. Ooh, you're betting on the Pat McAfee parlay, the Kay Adams parlay, the Sean Morash parlay.
Hey, now. You might need that.
That's the same thing as auto drafting,
It is.
which sucks. I'm deeply concerned because I've seen people fall off in interest. And I think this is a dying art. Am I alone in this? And first of all, not giving in to gambling replacing fantasy? Because you can do both in a reasonable way. But I think there are people like Sean and a lot of people in our audience that have basically said, we're done with fantasy and it's being replaced by my phone app and gambling.
Yeah, now I want to make it clear. I'm still in my core one with my friends, but it's dwindling. Like they're all, like some of them still really happy for the job. I'm like, dude, just let me know when we're doing this, whatever. But like I know week one, that's the furthest. Matter of fact, I've gotten to the point where I set my lineup in the morning and I forget about it, don't even check until Monday morning.
So you're not even watching the games.
No, because
or
I
watching
hate
the results.
There is, and the Giants went through some dark periods, and I did this. I hate watching football through the eyes of fantasy football. It's a different way of watching the game. I hate watching, the Eagles on the red zone going, you better throw to A.J. Brown. Now, I do that with the player prop.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Exactly.
It's
the same.
No, because if I'm only dwindling it down to like 3 or 4 players I'm on, it's a difference between I'm rooting against certain guys. I'm rooting for, you know what I mean?
You know what the other problem is? It's a problem with our culture. I'm telling you right now, it's a problem with our culture. We got no freaking patience. We have no patience for anything. So when you gamble on a weekly basis, you get your gratification immediately. I can see it in Boyle's eyes, who's filling in for Loogie today. I can see it just by looking at him. We don't even know each other that well. I guarantee he needs to make a freaking bet so that in 3 hours he knows if he won or lost.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And a lot of it is, the matchups of whoever that receiver is going against that week, or
And
the
then
secondary.
you're wrong. And then you're wrong, and it pisses you off.
Some 50% of the time, yes. 50% of the time, no. But like for example, Ravens secondary crushed by injuries again. So whoever they're playing, if I think the receiver, and the other team's gonna have a big game, then I'm locking in on that, and I'm like. It gives you that extra pride of like, all right, I knew what I was doing there. And yes, the instant gratification.
Everybody wants to be an analyst.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to do what I do for a living.
But it's more impressive to accomplish that over a full season. Like, yeah, you can in fantasy get off to a great start.
Okay, but hold on.
What?
Are you draft? So you go draft Devonta Smith, right? Philadelphia Eagle wide receiver. Are you drafting him because you've looked at his schedule going forward and you're saying, the Giants' defense is tough and rough this year.
No, I'm just making sure I don't get 2 wide receivers on the same bye week. That's my priority. I mean, listen, I'm doing my best I can, but I'm not analyzing the week 11 game or the week 7 game or the week 15 game.
All right, good. Just making sure.
But there's more, I think, because I've bet too. It's not like I don't sit here and ever bet. There is more gratification when you complete a full season of success than one night of success.
Yeah, but the immediate success is often, depending on the size of the fantasy league you're in, is often more fulfilling because it's more money and it's immediate. I think you hit on something with the immediacy.
No, I agree. I think sometimes in society too much, we need everything right away. We need if I didn't get it today, then it doesn't matter. And yeah, a fantasy league is a full year. We're going to have a draft. All of us are having our drafts at some point before next or 2 Thursdays from now, week 1 of the NFL season. We're all doing it. Some people have already done it. I think that's a little too early. Mm-hmm. We love to do it, I'd say, the Monday or Tuesday prior to that Thursday. So like 3 days ahead of time.
After the last preseason game.
Correct.
The Monday before the first Thursday game.
And there's a few reasons for it. Number 1, injuries. But number 2, now it's football. You know what I mean? Now it's freaking football. So we're all going to have those drafts. right after Labor Day or before Labor Day. And you're not going to know if you won or not until the middle of December. And most people in 2023 now, with the instant gratification of, let me just go to my FanDuel app, they don't have the patience for it. And you're all missing out. And I think eventually in the next 5-10 years, because I read recently 60 million people. 60 million people. You know how many New York cities that is? That's 7 times the size of New York City.
8.5. We're counting Brooklyn.
That's a fifth of the population.
Right. Is that what it is?
About.
A fifth of the population plays fantasy football. I didn't make these numbers up. I looked it up. I do my research. 60 million people. And that number's been going up forever. We've hit our peak. That number's going to start to go down. Now, I'm not telling you it's going to be 5 million by next year or the year after, but I can see it in Sean's eyes.
doubt.
I see it in Boyle's eyes. You're different, Tiki. You're a sore loser.
Yeah, but still, I'm not doing it this year. There was a point where I did 3, and now I'm doing none.
Even fantasy football has an immediate nature on a week-to-week basis. But even then, you don't find out probably till Monday night unless you're getting clobbered or you're clobbering your
Yeah, but
opponent.
there's always a chance to come back on the week-to-week fantasy. Like, you could stink. You could lose your first 3 weeks, and you could still find a way
I'm
into
saying
the
is
championship.
by gambling, in my opinion, is better than just fantasy football. Is because you got unless it's a parlay with teams. If you're on one player prop, 3 hours, you know whether you won or lost. Fantasy football, it takes even a week to know whether you won your match.
No, you're right about that. You've got to wait. You got the Thursday game, you got the Sunday game, you got the Monday night game.
That's a good point.
I think that's a big part of it. I think we just now need to know, did I win right now? We'll get your calls on this because I'm curious. Am I alone that this is dying? This is just like the death of fantasy football. And for me, this is part of what football's about. I'm not saying it's the whole thing. Jets come first. I've always said it. For you, the Giants come first.
Yeah.
But the gambling has sucked out the life of fantasy football.
You also have Aaron Rodgers now. It's okay to put the Jets first. We can get past the fantasy.
I always put the Jets first, but you know what's great about having Aaron Rodgers?
No, there had to be some years where you put the fantasy first.
No,
there had to be.
Red zone of the main
There had to
TV,
be,
Jets
dude.
on the small screen.
You just knew whatever you were watching on a Sunday was unfulfilling.
Well, I think there were years where by week 11, the priority is has my guys doing it. But you know
Sure you admit it.
But what's really special about the Jets now, and even you guys with the Giants, you got guys worth drafting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. And that, for a long time, as a Jet shill, I'd want to draft someone. I'd talk myself into, I got to draft Denzel Mims. I got to draft Lavernius Coles. I got to draft Elijah Moore, which I did last year. That worked out well. But now, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall,
Graham Gano,
Aaron Rodgers, the Jets defense. There's reason to do it.